actual liquid cameras. Yeah, security cameras.
You know, a number of years ago, people were talking about like having, you know, on cameras in Europe, that a lot of places have cameras on the streets, you know, and stuff. Talking about.
Yeah, yeah. The bad thing is since it's an alarm, it'll set off something. And there's one guy that's down there, is even a leaf going across the set off alarms and just keep beeping and beeping and beeping out. And then you have to turn it on, so it can be pretty annoying.
All right, I think we are 5 o'clock on the dot.
All right, well, we'll start then. All right, first order of business tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 20, 2020 meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
All right,
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The next item of business this evening is a public hearing for the consideration and vote on a variance to the minimum lot size and setback requirements for 403 West Kaskaskia. Rita Moore is the applicant. I would take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The public hearing is now open.
Okay, thank you. Bear with me, this will be quite a bit of talking for just a minute. As said, this is a variance proposed for 403 West Kaskaskia. There was previously a mobile home on this property before the current LDO was adopted in 1996. The mobile home was removed in 2012, and the sewer and water were actually disconnected in 2007. And there is still a shed on the lot that was built, according to the county, in 1975. Pretty trusty shed. The issue is that the lot right now is too small to be considered buildable to our current LDO. The lot area for a standard lot to be buildable is 6,000 square feet with side yard setbacks of 5 feet, a width of 50, rear yard setbacks of 25, and street of 25. The current dimensions, the site area is only 5,334 square feet with a lot width of 42 square feet. There has not been an official survey or plot plan completed yet. This requirement is for all new home construction and is in our building code. And it will be done to ensure that the construction of the property will be within the boundary lines and comply with the established setbacks. And according to the LDO, the planning commission actually, zoning board of appeals actually has the authority to minimize the 5-foot setbacks to actually 4.2 feet if they wanted to, because with lot width less of 50, the side yard setbacks shall be 10% of the lot width, which would be 4.2, which is 4. So you, Board of Zoning Appeals also has the authority to go to 4 foot instead of 5-foot setbacks if they would like, or they can stick to the 5. The LDO and the Hill Building Code requires a minimum of 960 square feet for a single family home, with the minimum lot, the minimum dimension of the house has to be at least 22 feet. So the discussion below, I have laid out the standards that the board needs to apply in order to approve the variance. So we'll go through those real quick. A, under no condition shall a variance permit a use that is not otherwise permitted in the district. Residential construction is a permitted use in the zoning district. B, special circumstances, or conditions exist particular to the land or building for which the variance is sought that do not apply generally to lots, land, or buildings in the neighborhood. This lot was platted smaller than the minimum lot standard setback because it was platted prior to our land development ordinance in 1996. The special circumstances and conditions have not resulted from any act applicant subsequently to this ordinance adoption. No, the lot was platted before the adoption of the Paola Land Development Ordinance. In accordance to the Register of Deeds, I could not find any proof of a lot split or anything like that to make it smaller. D, the special circumstances and conditions that are such that strict application of the ordinance's provisions would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the land. Strict application of the ordinance would permit a home to never be built on this lot. This would leave it vacant indefinitely because it would limit its ability to be sold and used. Granting the variance is necessary to relieve the applicant of unnecessary hardship imposed by the regulations. Yes, the only way to make this lot buildable would be to approve the variance. The variance granted is the minimum necessary to relieve the unnecessary hardship. Yes, this would be the minimum necessary procedure. Granting the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood surrounding land where the variance is proposed and is otherwise not detrimental to the public welfare. No, the new construction will abide by the setbacks that were put in place. There would be a survey and a plot plan engineer that would be submitted. And in this area of town, I didn't go block by block, I just did within a 5-block radius. There is 10 other lots that are actually smaller than this lot that have a house on it currently. So due to it being so established, the various sizes and lots in this section of town is very common, actually. They go from very, very small to very, very large. Granting the variance is in harmony with the ordinance and purpose and intent. Yes, granting the ordinance would relieve the unnecessary hardship for this lot. And last but not least, granting the variance is not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. Approving this variance would allow resident development on an infill lot, which is actually consistent with the comprehensive plan, especially during now when we have a housing shortage. And this would also help try to promote affordable housing with infill development. The action, due to that, this is a very unique circumstance. When you approve variance, you can approve conditions with the variance. If we would like to go that route to approve conditions with this variance, there are 3 that I would suggest that you guys would, if you would like to. The first one would be that the new construction would comply with the existing required setbacks. Whatever setbacks that you guys would establish, if you want to go with the standard 5 or with the 4, that you say that the construction would need to comply with those setbacks. The second one, the construction document submitted for approval prior to building. So that way, in layman's terms, they would submit the site plan before they would build, which is typical for every new home. And then the third would be the new construction shall comply with the minimum regulations for a single family home. So that way it would have to be the 960 square feet and comply with all of the regulations of a new home, which would be, it requires a foundation, a siding, the 22-foot minimum, all of those laid out. So those would be my suggestions. There was provided aerial maps. These are not survey grade maps by any means. This is just a general overview that we got from the county, as well as the applicant's application. That's all.
Okay. Would anybody like to speak on this? If you do, please step up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Alan Heyer, and I own the duplex at 108 and 110 North Dunn. If I may. of paper may not come far if I don't.
There's Hampton has right there. Thank you, sir. That one. There you go.
And there was one that did not have the red dots. Did anybody get that one? All of them should have those red dots.
Oh, I don't have read that.
You don't have? Okay, that's mine.
There you go.
Thank you this evening for the hearing. Myself, as well as the neighbor to the west, sitting behind me, we're concerned about, it's 42 feet, stuck in a confined space, and none of the property lines match up with anything you can really associate with the lots that are in across the alley in 6 through 10. So we don't know where the property lines are. They don't know where the property lines are. There's a registered survey that takes into account some, on lot 6, over in that upper right-hand corner, that takes in some pins over there. Might have had something to do with the fence that went between 6 and 7. And that's the only survey in block 84. Trees, the trees that are in question that caused the problem in my mind with the lot lines and who owns the trees and who doesn't own the trees. The ones with the red dots, they're numbered 1, 2, and 3. Number 1's a large 30-inch tree. Number 2's a little bit smaller. And number 3 is a 24-inch oak tree. And I don't know where those are in relationship to the property line. So I don't know if they're, tree number 3 would be my tree, tree number 1 and 2 would be their tree. And just visually looking at it, rolling a little off with the tape measure based on a block survey document that Dick Allenbrand gave me, it looks like the trees that are marked 1 and 2 are split down the middle. And tree number 3, not sure where, it depends on how everything shifts, whether tree number 3 is on the 403 property or if it's on my diamond property. So we don't know who the trees belong to. With the construction, the trees will either need to be removed or they will die. And they'll die from 1 of 2 reasons. You'll be cutting roots less than 10 feet from the center line of big old monsters, and you will kill the trees either today or tomorrow or 3 years from now. The other thing that will kill the trees is the construction that goes on around them, where they don't cut the roots. There's soil compaction that will take, what soil compaction does is it blocks the oxygen from getting to the roots. The roots don't have oxygen and they die. And again, that takes 3 to 4 years before that stress finally gets to the tree and the tree dies. And the parking on your little sketch that he sent, they're going to park off the alley. And I don't know if that'll be required to be paved or gravel. So that needs to be determined. And in that 42 feet with that garage sitting back there, there's not really a lot of room to get turned in to get into that spot. Because the alley's it's a 20-foot alley with 2 tire track alley in it, like we all know of. There's just not a lot of room there. The alley really doesn't get used by anybody to park vehicles at a 90-degree angle. There's a few of them on lots 6 and 7, but mostly on 7 and 8, where they can pull in parallel, but they don't pull in at a 90. So the alley is not very wide and not very good shape. So the variance is issued, the lot's surveyed, again, we don't know whose trees they are. And we don't know how close it's gonna be to the house that's located on, lot number 3 at 405 West Kaskaskia. It could get, depending on how the lot line comes out, it could get really close to that house. It must be surveyed before a variance should be approved, because we're sticking 10 pounds of stuff in a 10-pound space. So there's no excess room until we determine exactly where the lot lines are. I'm not necessarily against the variance, but I can't make a decision on whether I'm for the variance or against the variance, so I know where the property lines are. So I can't agree with the variance to be issued at this time without the survey. I think the variance should be denied, or at a minimum tabled to January, or until the lot is surveyed and the lot lines are located, and we can come back with a better understanding of where this house is gonna sit on the property in that space. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So as I understand it, then your proposal is, to get the survey before any decision is made, is that what I understand?
Yes. You know, at that point, we can decide, okay, we can go out there and stake where the house is gonna end up. We can kind of draw a picture in our minds, take a picture, plant the house on it, and go, okay, sucks. We don't want it there. But by the same token, we don't own the property. So sometimes we just have to make sure we understand what we're buying and deal with it.
Makes sense to me. I thought I had my mind made up until you got up and talked, so.
Thank you.
That was a question I had in looking at it too, was, do we really know where things are with that?
Would you all like to speak? Come up here and state your name and your address for the
How
record.
this works, is that all right? Well, I'm in the Rollins, this is my husband Paul, we live at the 405 West Kaskaskia here, and we agree with like what Alan said. I mean, it's such a small lot. I mean, looking at it on paper, it looks a lot bigger, but if you go physically look at that lot, it's so small. And like you said, we don't know where our property lines, like from my understanding, when I bought my house 3 years ago, it doesn't match up, you know, to what it kind of looks like on their paper, so we're just really not sure where everything's at. And it just seems so close to our property line. You know, I hate to lose anything, you know, either way for any of us, that, you know, basically kind of it, is we're just kind of, don't lose our property line, I guess, you know? So, I mean, it's kind of awkward because that shed that, like, my understanding was, is that, like, it's set on our property line, but for what you can pull up from the county and that kind of stuff, it shows that it's off a little bit, so. We don't really know where the lines are, and just want to make sure before we, you know, say no or yes, if you agree, kind of thing. So, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Did you have any written correspondence
No,
regarding?
no written, no calls, no.
Ellen, did you have?
Yeah, one other thing, kind of to follow up with John's comment. The concern about the trees is what happens in 3 or 4 years? The house gets put in there, the trees die, it's decided that the trees don't belong to him, he killed the trees. What's the recourse for me to get my $10,000 back, or $20,000 back for the value of the tree that I lost, plus the $2,000, $4,000 it takes me to get a tree down that's now wedged in between 2 houses?
Yeah, it's a pretty big tree.
Their trees are a lot bigger than my oak tree, but
Yeah.
at some point, those trees are, as this lot line goes in, some trees gonna get left. So what's the tree worth the day if we decide that the best thing to do is to get rid of all of them, which we don't wanna do? Or 3 years from now, when the damn thing dies, everybody stands back and goes, well, it's your tree, I guess it just died. You know, there's some compensation there that needs to be given to us for those trees.
All right, thank you. All right, hearing nobody else wants to speak in the public hearing, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
And I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The public hearing is now closed. All right. After hearing what Alan said and the neighbor said, I think it would only be fair that if we table this until January to allow the landowner to have an opportunity to survey that property and see exactly where the property lines fall, where the trees, whose property the trees are on, and what they have to work with before we make a decision. So, does anybody else have anything to say?
I agree with what you're saying, I think it should be surveyed, yeah.
I agree with that, but I don't know, the survey hadn't been done any more recently or ever.
Well, in that part of town, there's not very many surveys, it's so established. And typically, we would not, I understand that everyone wants to know where the property lines are, I understand that. Which is why there was a condition there that they would have to do a plat and survey site plan before construction would be allowed. I do understand that everyone wants to know where the property lines are, but I do think that we're getting into a gray area of who owns the property, who's gonna own the trees. That's more of a civil matter, especially when it comes to the trees. We're not here about trees, we're here just about, is this lot gonna be buildable? There's already sewer and water to it, there was already a house on it. So that's just little things I'm throwing out there for that, this statement. It is typical that infill lots will vary in size, like I said. Before they come, if it is buildable size, they come in with a site plan. We don't let them build or anything until they have a site plan. So I don't want you guys to think, oh, we're doing this variance, they're gonna go build tomorrow. They're gonna have to go through the entire process with us before a permit is issued. And if it comes down to they can't fit in the setbacks, it'll be dead in the water with the conditions, if you put those conditions in there. So I just throwing it out there. I don't want to think like, oh, they're building tomorrow. No, it won't be like that. So.
I've seen so many of these deals though in another community where, you get the survey done and property, in fact, I had a house one time where the property was actually on the back wall of the house.
That happens a lot here too, actually, yeah.
And so, from my standpoint, I'd like to know that that's not gonna be the case here, that we know exactly what we're talking about before I make the decision.
Sure. Can you repeat, sorry, whoever makes the motion, can you repeat it for me one more time? Whoever makes the.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we continue this public hearing until.
Yes, go ahead, I'm looking at the dates for the next meeting,
Yeah, until whatever the next meeting date is in January.
19th.
Okay, 19th. In order to give the landowner time to complete a survey of his property before I make the decision.
I would second that.
A motion and a second.
John Scott.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, with that, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now, off the record. The trees have nothing to do with this, Alan.
Okay.
Okay, just so you know. Okay. All right, that takes care of that item this evening.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
See you next year, Alan.
Might be before then. I might try and run over you.
Have a good Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
All righty. All right. The next item on the agenda is the Community and Economic Development Director Report.
Yes, So we are at 451 permits right now, which is not as far as we usually are, but it's not terrible either, about 40 off, so. And then the biggie is that tomorrow is the deadline for firms to submit their RFPs for the comp plan. Right now, we have 5 sitting in our office waiting to get open tomorrow.
Oh, wow,
Yeah, so we're hoping to get a couple more.
popular.
Yeah, we were impressed. We were expecting maybe 2, so 5 we're excited about.
Yeah.
So once we work through that, we will let you guys know the process and,
Do you have any idea when that process would start? Roughly, I'm not holding you to it.
no, you're fine. We are hoping to have a recommendation for a firm, in the January meeting, but it probably won't start for a couple months after that.
Okay.
Hopefully within the first quarter, we will start.
When Jim gets back.
You won't get that done
Yeah.
by the time I.
No. Goodness, no, there's too much work for that.
Well,
I just want to make sure that we do that, you know?
No, this will be a long process. I'm sure you all know, the ones that went through the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Public engagement will look a bit different this time. It'll probably be more internet-based, mainly because of COVID. We're trying to do other avenues, as well as mailings and things like that. So trying to reach all applicable people. But other than that, that's really all I have for today. We will be submitting a master plan RFP in the first quarter to work on our utilities, so our water and sewer master plan, to figure out how we can grow, where we can grow, and things like that. So, yeah, a lot of planning in our future.
Is there any planning on internet access?
Yeah,
I'm
there's that.
gonna keep bringing it up.
Sure, no, that's fine. We're working with Kansas FiberNet. They are putting, right now, it's just gonna be to commercial. They have their, with the CARES Act funding, they got some anchor institutions. So they got, I'm sure I'm not gonna include all of them, but, the city establishments, they got the schools, the hospitals, and I'm not sure anyone else, but we are working on it to try to extend into residential. They said they're not in that yet, but they are exploring and doing some analytical things to see what they can do. So we're actually having a pretty good backbone laying, as we go down Silver right now.
Yeah, is that what's going on?
Yes, they're laying fiber. So we're trying to get at least a backbone all through town, so that's a franchise off of it. So we're working on it, we're getting there.
Slowly but sure.
Absolutely,
It's gonna become more critical.
yes, I agree. I totally agree.
Anything moving on the academy or?
Which one? I'm sorry, which Ursuline property, you talking about the actual like mother house, or are you talking about?
Just in general? Or it just seems like it's
Gotcha, okay,
stagnated?
no, the mother house, that was built or purchased by a private company, there has been remodeling and doing fire sprinklers and things like that. We don't know their exact plan yet, but they're at least attempting to get it up to code.
the different person that owns the mother house than the rest of it, the home property.
Okay, so, no. So I was referring to like the mother house, that whole property, and then the headline property. So the headline Baptiste property, I didn't know which one you're referring to, because the Ursulines own that as well, which that's a different guy. That is a developer for Taylor Crossing.
Okay.
Is there one across from Walmart?
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah, no problem, yeah.
Yes, that's the one, okay. So, he is working with KDOT to get entry access, right in, right out off of Baptiste. So he's still working through that, but still moving forward. Yeah. KDOT, is always fun to work with.
I like the railroad.
There you go, good comparison.
Not that it makes any difference on anything, but I'm just curious, on this variance we just talked about, is that a rental property or home ownership?
Home ownership.
Home ownership. How are they gonna get that to pencil out equity wise?
What do you mean?
Well, it's a narrow lot, it's right across the street from a big white wall.
Hmm.
And a 1,200 square foot building.
Yeah.
at $110 or $120 a square foot.
Yeah.
I don't see the equity, how it's gonna pencil out.
I think they're just moving to town and they're trying to find something affordable to live in. And that's where it comes down
At
to.
least
There's
not
nothing-
trailer on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing affordable
I mean, it'll be good for that neighborhood if they can pull it off, but
It's very good for me.
I just, it just doesn't, I just don't see how it's.
Yes, they just want a little two-bedroom, one-bath bungalow, is what she said. So, nothing extravagant, just from the one that was there.
Take the motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Turn Albert off.